Short-form creator Zero Won't Miss posted that clip on the 2nd of January this year. It did okay on YouTube, but it went viral on TikTok, amassing millions of views. It is obviously a joke. But it isn't just a joke, is it? Or rather, there's a reason the joke landed, and there's a reason Zero Won't Miss wasn't the only one making it. A day before the Vecna short was posted, Facebook page The Marvel Hub made a similar post. 11 will return in Avengers Doomsday. In the days afterward, various similar edits were produced. That reason, of course, is MCU-ification. Or at least that's what everyone is saying. Discussion of MCU-ification, and of Stranger Things MCU-ification in particular, has flooded the internet since that final season started rolling out. Discussion often holding the phenomenon to be self-evident, and self-evidently negative. But seeing all this left me with a question. Is all this really just fun, fan edits and in-jokes, or is it a clue hinting to the secret final episode of Stranger Things that definitely exists and will get released any day now? X-a-lie? 43? If you change all the letters in MCU-ification and then add some new ones, you get new finale soon, and that can't be a coincidence. I kid, of course. No, my question is a simpler one. It's also an older one, since Stranger Things is far from the first recent media property to face these charges. What I'm wondering is, what exactly is MCU-ification, or Marvelizing, or whatever you want to call it, anyway? By looking at and past the MCU, towards Stranger Things, towards everything else that's been labeled and libeled in similar terms in recent times, I think it's a question we can answer. Oh, and just before we do, if this video was your reminder that you needed to re-cancel your Netflix now that Stranger Things is done again, you're welcome. But hey, shouldn't you have a better system in place for keeping track of that sort of expense? Like, say, this video's sponsor, Rocket Money? Rocket Money is an app with a bunch of different features, all designed to save you money. My favorite is the way the app gives you the full picture at a glance, pulling all your different accounts or loans or investments together into one dashboard. Or, you know, if you are hopping between a bunch of different streamers to try and watch all your favorite stuff without wasting unnecessary funds, Rocket Money can and will simplify that process with the subscription management feature, which automatically tracks and consolidates all your memberships and free trials. You can even cancel subscriptions within the app with just a few taps. And that's just scratching the surface. There are many more functionalities to discover to make it that little bit easier to save up for whatever you're after. Big or little? Wow, isn't that handy? So go grab the app for free at rocketmoney.com/pillarofgarbage. And bonus, you can also get a free premium trial when you sign up with that link, or by scanning the QR code on screen now. Thanks again to them for sponsoring this video. But now let's get back to it and try and nail down what MCU-ification means. Here's the way I see it. MCU-ification is the move toward omni-genre, tragi-comic dramedies with enough action and romance to appeal, at least superficially, to practically every slice of a streaming or ticket-buying audience, trying on western, stoner comedy, sci-fi, like so many hats, quips springing eternal, even in dire straits.
Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit.
Bonus points if those quips tend toward the lampshade, the feigned disbelief that that just happened. It's dialogue with, as user Muxcanic in the Pillar of Garbage Discord server observed, a little too much pathos, that is, tension-deflating comedy, to be immersed seriously. It's stories which aren't afraid to present themselves as stories.
Fine, where was I? By night, I come home to my loving wife and daughter, Kira.
You went back too far.
To draw on the language, style, or mechanics of already well-known texts, implicitly or out loud.
You ever see that really old movie? Empire Strikes Back?
It's an ironic distance that never quite disappears.
If genre manages expectations, the dissolution of genre leaves us without expectations, other than the expectation that our expectations will be thwarted, attentionally inundated in the aesthetic stream, in the middle of things, without mooring.
But you'd be able to see MCU-ification even if the TV were on mute, the subtitles off. It's a visual thing too, a flattening. MCU-ification looks like characters standing near to each other in front of a wide, open, subtly off background, neutrally lit regardless of which planet or micro-universe or wormhole dimension the walls of the reshoot-enabling green screens are standing in for. It's an anonymous cinematography that aims above all to go unnoticed. It's big, elaborate, pre-visualized action sequences as first principles, as cornerstones determining the shape of the whole.
The spectacle is for its own sake. There is no apparent further point, only relentless repetition and distribution.
And, of course, MCU-ification is spinning off. Or trying to, at least.
Has to do with Spider-Man, I think.
Bitchin'.
MCU-ification is that spin-off imperative coming to dominate. You didn't think the Boba Fett show would actually be about Boba Fett, did you stupid fucking idiot? Nothing can stand in the way of continued franchising, not even the works themselves. Because the only thing that is truly contrary to MCU-ification, that is incompatible with it, is ending, switching the TV off, cashing out your investment in characters and story arcs and worlds for good.
Prequel, quell, sequel, quell, surprise, a universe sprawl of story bleed that is homogeneous and low risk, each content vehicle functioning less as narrative representation and more as commercial for its own distension.
The passages you've been hearing are all excerpts from Anna Kornbluh's book Immediacy, or The Style of Too Late Capitalism. Immediacy, in Kornbluh's words, provides a master category for making sense of 21st century cultural production. Kornbluh's focus is wide-ranging. Real pillarheads will recall my mentioning of it previously on this channel in a rather different context. But that is kind of the point. The basic gist of the book is this. On a fundamental level, capitalism relies on two things, production and exchange, and the general slowing of capitalist growth, of production, across the past few decades has led to exchange becoming dominant. See social media, one-day delivery, always-on email culture, the gig economy. The circulation is the product. And this has bled so far over into our culture that practically all forms of art, of communication, of behavior today across contexts have come to reflect, absorb, and/or propagate that circulation imperative. Autoplay, algorithmic shuffle, read receipts, modern poetry is merely prose in a Twitter scansion, dopamine now or I keep scrolling. Immediacy then connotes that disappeared middle, the negative space produced by the contradictions of 21st century capitalism, demanding that aesthetics negate mediation, to quote the book's blurb. Like Uber, but for art. Works in the style of immediacy produce and maintain a state of engrossing, disorienting flow, a being in the middle of things without mooring. And as Kornbluh argues in a survey of modern TV, film, and streaming aesthetics, excerpts of which you've already heard, this economic logic of circulation now impinges heavily on our visual culture. In her words,
contemporary cultural production prizes circulation, practicing flow and emanation in a bizarre swirl of emptiness and extremity that has come to define modes across media.
The aim, or at least the result, is a pervasive in-betweenness, a frictionless distancing. You're in enough that you're never really out, but out enough that you're never really in. Many immediatist traits, Kornbluh observes, correspond straightforwardly to the features of our MCU-ification, the way production values stand in for semantic heft, the looping plotlessness demanded of IP in the age of the spin-off, the dissolution of genre, which Kornbluh understands as a streamlining, a collapsing of expectations, a tensional inundation in the aesthetic stream, too much bathos to be immersed seriously. That's not even mentioning the routine breaking or tapping of the fourth wall, the willingness to treat the camera as subject, a move toward a gapless immanentism Kornbluh hails as producing the enmeshment, the directness, the bareness of immediacy. But with that being said, and perhaps surprisingly, Kornbluh only directly mentions the MCU once, discussing the proliferation of dazzling physicality, special effects, rapid editing, and so on across film and indeed across TV. Immediacy points to the League of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and The Fast and the Furious as shaping the small screen inclinations toward these things. It's a worthy charge, even more so in retrospect. The years since Immediacy's 2023 publication have seen the increased colonization of the TV form by these blockbuster franchises, and the further collapse of distinctions between visual media forms. But what's striking is the way Kornbluh evokes the spectre of our MCU-ification entirely without any further discussion of what we might presume to be the phenomenon's master text. It's almost as though MCU-ification isn't about the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all. If it's fair to point the finger at more recent installments as spectacle-reliant, as blurring the lines between TV and film, and it is, we ought also to recognize this universe started out with a generally heavier emphasis on human-level stakes. And early MCU films, especially before the Avengers, weren't particularly TV-like at all. In retrospect, we might look to the Phase 1 films as marking the beginning of a grand and bloated continuity, but at the time, this interconnectivity was constituted mainly by simple Easter eggs. The first Thor film is so far from a frictionless watch that the internet is still filled with complaints about all those Dutch angles, and the Iron Man trilogy tries its absolute best to end. I mentioned earlier one characterization of MCU-ification given by a user on my channel's Discord server: too much bathos to be immersed seriously. It is an apt descriptor, but the context of that phrase is, I think, almost as important. That's what people usually mean the message went, but when you hear people talk about it, they talk in cliches and lines that nobody in any of these has ever said. Because no character in an MCU movie has ever quipped, "so that just happened." It's a line from the 2000 film State and Main.
Okay, so that happened.
The Know Your Meme page about Marvel one-liners is constituted almost exclusively by similarly made-up examples. And that's not to say dialogue of this type does not exist in MCU films, it absolutely does, or that the tendency toward immersion countering pathos is specific to dialogue, it absolutely isn't, or that the world-beating popularity of the middle period MCU didn't do anything to fan these flames, standardize these styles. It absolutely did. But it is to offer a reminder that various key texts of MCU-ification were never MCU properties to begin with. And it is to say that if Iron Man 1 had bombed back in 2008, we'd probably all be talking about Star Wars-ification instead.
They fly now!
They fly now! They fly now!
It's to observe that even at their most popular, these films were as much symptoms as they were causes, that Marvel was the tool rather than the agent, that all along what we've been witnessing was simply the economic logic of Hollywood, the circulation imperative expressing itself through Marvel Studios, that ultimately, the MCU itself is downstream of MCU-ification. Again, per Kornbluh works in the style of Immediacy, produce and maintain a state of engrossing, disorienting flow, and in one form or another, this flow is everywhere. Many of you are experiencing a version of this state right now as you half listen to me and half do something else. Don't worry, I'm not calling you out. YouTube creators like myself are in no way incentivized to make you watch a piece like this, to pay full attention to it, only to keep you from clicking away. So while I can do and have done my best to reward deeper engagement, to produce an edit that entwines video and audio meaningfully, an entwining that spurs more thought and reflection than either strand would alone, from a numbers point of view, from a money point of view, there is rather little nudging me to do this. Indeed, you might even say I'm disincentivized. To release a video that requires focus is to encourage second screening viewers to jump ship, is to tank my own stats. And that's not to mention the way a video like this can only really exist if shot through with focus-breaking ads and occasionally ironic sponsor segments. So don't feel bad, you don't have to pay attention to YouTube videos. The platform has spoken, and we've all heard, we've all learned. To paraphrase some guy, the immediacy is the message. But it's not always as straightforward as Subway surfers and retention algorithms. Immediatist cultural production places its premium on this flow, this frictionlessness in a variety of ways we can explore by going full circle, going back to Hawkins. Some ways are textual. One characteristic of immediacy style, Kornbluh writes, is an emptying out of figuration and fictionality in favor of ambience and affect, presence and expressivity. In other words, a shift in emphasis from meaning to feeling. A shift I think we see in Season 5's auto-nostalgia, the callbacks, the echoing of earlier seasons, the almost parodic overuse of 80s-tinged exposition sequences. These things emit a Stranger Things feeling tone, and the show's fixation on this feeling tone's continuing production seems to blame for some of Season 5's most criticized moments. Why does every character, major and minor, sit in on Will's coming out? Because this is a big moment, and the more of these rapidly accumulating characters are in the room, the more Stranger Things this big moment feels. In a way, it becomes this franchise's version of the Endgame portal scene, or the Resistance fleet arriving, a spectacle of presence. It's the same story with my own personal Season 5 bugbear, Maury's bewildering continuing presence in the story as sarcastic quip delivery specialist. Why is he still here? He's barely a part of the story. Why does he get the plot armor too? Let him die! Maury surely craves death. Ways like this are textual. Others are contextual. Because all this smoothing down, this emptying out, is being done on studio time. Recast another child actor who aged too fast. Swallow your disbelief at the 30-year-old teens. By her being 4 years older than her, or, her being 4 years older than her, because the show had to run for this long, with these characters on Netflix's timeline. Haven't even finished your script? No matter. Shoot it anyway. The machine keeps on going, keeps on circulating. And it works. MCU-ification may hollow out franchises, sure, but it also keeps millions of streaming memberships active. Underwhelming final run or not, Stranger Things' viewership was sufficiently determined to stay in the flow, to seek out a non-existent more as to crash Netflix. Works of fiction end, but emotions can be consumed forever. So blow up another Death Star, keep the Demogorgons coming, keep sending Terminators back, keep sending Robert Downey Jr. back, drag Patrick Stewart back to set one more time, dissociate in the flow, and glide forever across the second screen at 2 times speed. In Immediacy, Kornbluh sums up her discussion of this amorphous, not quite film, not quite TV, feeling-forward video content by describing it as the art form par excellence of too late capitalism.
Stream video is rushing, delugent. We might drown.
There are reasons to be less pessimistic. The phrase, like most phrases existing at the intersection between critique and meme culture, is misleading, reductive, and yet there is undoubtedly something there. Something chameleon, hard to pin down, but even if the collective internet doesn't know exactly what or exactly why, it's hard to get a proper sense of perspective or direction from within the stream after all. People are trying to label it. And whatever truth there may be behind claims of MCU-ification, the condition is not necessarily a terminal one. The 5th decade of Star Wars produced the Book of Boba Fett, yes, but also Andor. Immediacy's conclusion highlights various contemporary creative works bucking the trend, embracing mediation and figuration and fictionality, including mainstream shows like Queen Sugar and Succession that situate their characters narratively, physically, socially, producing drag, hold against flow. We can resist the subordination of culture to the logic of circulation, in writerly ways and in readerly ones too. You don't have to engage with art on the terms of the algorithm all the time. Turn autoplay off. To return to that ads point, many video creators, myself included, provide ad-free versions of their videos behind a short paywall. Or just go to your subs page on YouTube before the homepage. Or just go off YouTube. Turn shuffle off, put on your best headphones and go listen to Dogman Star. Put on your worst headphones and go listen to Nebraska. Sit in a dark room and watch Stalker, then find someone else who's seen it and have a gab about it. Read a book that isn't self-help. I just finished Clara and the Sun by Katsuo Ishiguro, a sweet, sad novel about love and belief narrated by a robot. That was good. I've recently started Ghost Mountain by Ronan Hession, and I'm enjoying that so far too. It's about a mountain that appears out of nowhere. You get the picture. All that's easier said than done, of course, as cultural forms and spaces continue to be encircled and invaded by the logic of circulation and immediacy. A million more easy ways to follow the flow every year, opting out becomes more and more of an uphill struggle. But a bit of friction, a bit of work, might be just what we need. Thank you for watching. And hey, this wasn't exactly a dedicated Stranger Things video, but if you do want to hear more of my take on Season 5 or Conformity Gate or any of that stuff, you can check out the podcast special we did. Link down below. And huge shout out to all my supporters on Patreon and YouTube, especially Birding Baddie, Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Deathstroke HQ, Harry Price, Kwang Yu Liu, Nothings, Something Something Capitalism Bad, Stephen Van Doren, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy, who are the biggest reason videos like this continue to exist.